Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're looking at this. It's the Revv Tilt pedal, and the Tilt is actually a signature overdrive and boost pedal for Mr. Shawn Tubbs. Now you'll probably know Shawn Tubbs. He's a wonderfully dynamic and expressive guitar player here on YouTube, but in the real world he's also a very successful and in-demand session musician. And what he wanted to do with the Tilt was come up with a pedal that would give him what he calls the sound in his head. Production and mix ready tones at the drop of a hat straight away in one device. So the Tilt has a boost side, it has an overdrive side too. It's incredibly expressive and dynamic, just as Shawn would want it to be, and it gives you a bunch of different tones, so it's an incredibly versatile pedal. I have to say, when the pedal first came out, I was quite excited to play it because I know Revv as being my choice when it comes to high gain. I love the Revv G3, I use it on pretty much every video of any new guitar that I do here on the channel. So playing the Tilt, which is a boost and a low to medium gain drive, was something that I really wanted to do, and at NAMM 22, the lovely Derek from Revv actually gave me a Tilt to make a video with. So thank you Derek, Dan and the rest of the Revv team for letting me do this. And now let's talk about the Tilt itself. So as I said before, Shawn thinks of the Tilt as being the sound in his head. It's kind of an amalgamation of lots of different single channel tube amps that he's played in his life. So he mentions the Fender Tweed, for example, he mentions a Marshall Plexi and a JTM, but it's not of those things, and it's not an amp in a box either. It is kind of a mishmash of all those tones into one, and it can do many different sounds. So that is the drive side of the pedal, and on the drive side we actually have four controls here. We've got a volume and a gain knob. We've also got treble and bass, so two-band EQ there. So that's the drive side of the pedal then, and perhaps the more interesting side of the pedal is actually the boost side. Now we've got two knobs here and a three-way switch. The first one here is the boost control, and you've got up to 12 decibels of clean boost in this side of the pedal, so quite a hefty oomph of a push to your signal. But of course, the more that you boost your signal, the more low end you're going to bring into the tone, and that's where the Tilt EQ and the tight control here come into play. Now Shawn says that when the Tilt EQ control is at about 3 o'clock, you're kind of at neutral when it comes to the EQ of your guitar and amp, so that's about as much high end as would naturally be in your tone. But the more saturation that you push in, the more unwanted and flubby and loose low end you're going to push into your signal. So if you want to tighten things up, if you want to remove some of that low end, you can push this knob counterclockwise all the way down to here when it's removing most of the high end. But what you might want to do is find the ultimate position for you on the Tilt EQ, and you still might need to take out a little bit more of that unwanted low end, and that's what you can do with the tight control. In the middle here it's on the normal position, so it's not doing anything, but you can flick it up to remove half of those unwanted frequencies, and you can flick it all the way down to full mode, which will take out hopefully all of those unwanted low end bass frequencies. So those are the two sides of the pedal. You can use them independently or you can use them together, and that gives you a multitude of different tones, and we're going to hear a bunch of those tones now. So for the playing part of this demo, I'm going to be using two different guitars. I'll use my Epiphone Les Paul for humbucker tones, and I'll use my Fender Telecaster for single coil tones. Don't worry about the wide range humbucker on the neck of the Telly. I've got it in coil tap mode, so it's always going to be single coil sounds. And what we're going to do is play as many different tones in as many different genres and styles as I can. So I'll be using my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp. For most of the tone demo we'll be on the amp's clean channel. We'll use the boost control to do some push cleans, some folk rocky stuff, some indie rock, and then we'll go onto the drive mode and do a bit of kind of classic rock, a bit of hard rock, and we'll then use the two modes together to really push it up and even see if the Tilt can do a bit of down-tuned metal chug. Can this pedal do full-on modern metal? Well, we've not heard Shawn Tubbs do it, but I'm going to give it my best shot and we'll see just how tight it can get. And at the end of the playing part I'll do two little loops with the Tilt pedal, one with the Les Paul and one with the Telecaster, where we really get to twist the knobs and flick the switches and really see to what extremes we can go with this pedal. We'll run it at full tilt, and I did not write that joke in advance. But there we go, this is the Revv Tilt pedal, the Shawn Tubbs signature. Let's play it now and we'll speak in a bit more detail about it afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Revv Tilt pedal, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. And I have to say one thing straight off the bat, Shawn Tubbs and everybody at Revv, you've done a wonderful job here. This pedal is fantastic. I really love pretty much everything about it. You've got a brilliant boost side here, you've got an outstanding overdrive on the other side, put them both together and you've got wonderful thick high gain tones, and I love pretty much all of them. So that's kind of the too long didn't read instant conclusion that I have about the Tilt pedal. I really, really love it, but let's talk in a little bit more detail about my full experiences with it. So when I got it out the box, I was straight away kind of in Revv territory, and what I mean by that is you can see the build quality is out of this world. These pedals are built like tanks, you know. I've had the G2 and the G3 for years. They're full metal chassis. The pots, the knobs, the switches all feel fantastic. I don't think they're ever going to break, basically, and you get exactly that with the Tilt. And you would expect that as well, by the way, because this is not a cheap pedal by any means. In Europe, this is going to be around 299 euros, and in North America, it's around $270. So no, not cheap by any means, not an affordable overdrive boost pedal, but you really do feel like you get one you pay for as soon as you open the box. And as soon as you plug it in, well, as soon as I plugged it in anyway, I was in pretty much tonal heaven. I really, really love almost all of the tones that I was getting out of the Tilt. So I started with the boost side of the pedal, and I did some push cleans and I did some indie stuff on the boost side, and it did everything that I wanted to. And I really, really like the fact that you've got so much flexibility with the boost side. So when I was with the Epiphone Les Paul, when I was kind of turning up, winding up the boost a bit, I was getting quite a lot of low end, and I was able to take that out straight away using the Tilt EQ and using the tight switch as well. So really, really flexible just for a boost side of a pedal, and I really, really enjoyed that. It was perfect for indie rock tones. That's where I would use the boost side of the pedal. When we went to the drive side of the pedal, it was instant classic rock territory for me. It was AC/DC sounds, it was thick, mid-pushed sort of tones, and it went up and did hard rock as well. Now, by the time I got up to doing the glam rock, the punk rock sort of stuff, I needed to have the boost and the drive sides on together, and that was a really, really nice tone. Now, I don't think that if you're really playing thick, fast, chuggy modern metal that you're going to get exactly what you want with the Tilt pedal. As you'll have heard, with the Les Paul we did kind of get that. It does do those chuggy tones, but it's not as tight as something like the G3. But hey, that's why the G3 exists, you know, you've got these two choices here. And actually with the Tilt and the G3, I think you've got a rig that can do pretty much any flavour of overdrive and distortion ever. That might be a video that I make in future actually. Will these two pedals do any drive sound? But to go back to the Tilt, with the high gain stuff, it's not quite as tight as a metal pedal, and I did notice that on the modern metal chugging that I was trying to do, and I noticed it on the pop punk and the punk rock stuff as well. It doesn't really like to do fast palm muting as fast as a more modern sounding overdrive or distortion device. But for everything else apart from that, the Tilt, in my opinion, sounded absolutely fantastic. I would love to hear what you guys think about it, so drop me your comments down there in the description and let's get a bit of discussion going about this pedal. But I would also recommend that you watch the videos made by Shawn Tubbs himself and by many others here on YouTube. I'll put some of those best ones in the cards there, so have a watch after you've watched this. But in terms of the Tilt then, I love the tones, I love the build quality and the construction of it. It's pretty much everything you could want from this kind of a pedal. And it also worked very well with all of my other guitars too. Now for this video I used the Les Paul and I used the Telecaster as well, but I've got a bunch of other guitars with different pickup types like P90s, and I found amazing tones in all of them with the Tilt pedal. And that's really testament to its versatility. I mean, you can do so much with the boost side alone, but with the drive side as well, you can really get this pedal to sound great with any rig. And I think that was one of the main things that Shawn Tubbs wanted to achieve with this pedal too. He wanted to be able to plug it in, whatever the circumstances, and get a great tone within seconds. So full marks there to Revv and to Shawn Tubbs for the tonality and the versatility and flexibility of this pedal. So there are a great many things that I love about the Tilt pedal, but what about those things that I don't quite like so much? Well, for me personally, having had this pedal at home and played it for the last couple of weeks, those things are very few and far between. Now, I do think that the price of the Tilt is something that might put a few people off. It does seem expensive, you know, 300 euros or $270. That is a lot of money for a pedal. Don't forget though that this one is made in Canada, it's great quality, and of course, since the pandemic, prices on everything when it comes to gear, and in fact any kind of consumer product, have had to go up. That's just the way the world is working. And don't forget that this is not one pedal either. It's actually three, because you've got the the boost side, you've got the overdrive side, and you've got them both together. And I think that those really are more than the sum of their parts. I mean, think about if Revv were to sell the two sides separately. You might have $100 or maybe $150 or euros for the boost side, and maybe the same, maybe $200 for the drive side. And I don't think anyone would have too much of a problem with those. So just imagine them together, and you've really got something that is worth the money, at least in my opinion. Now, otherwise, what would I add to the Revv Tilt? What would I change about it? I guess the one thing that I might consider putting into it is an order switch, so I could actually run the boost after the drive section. Now, I know that a lot of people do like to run a boost into a drive pedal to give you more gain, to sculpt that gain, and I like to do that most of the time too. But sometimes I do like to run a boost pedal after my drive pedal to give me a bump in volume too. And I think that that is an option that you could have managed to fit onto this pedal if you'd wanted it. It would have given you even more flexibility. And I know that Revv are thinking about cool little things with this pedal, because you've got the soft switches, for example, that let you hold down one of them to turn on both sides at once. So Revv and Shawn were thinking about cool little things. And maybe if there's a Mark II of the Tilt at some point, there could be an order switch. But that's a really little thing. And overall, you know, the price thing, that order switch thing, that's all I can find that I might change about the Tilt. So if you're in the market for a dual pedal like this, a dual overdrive, or maybe an overdrive boost just like the Tilt, where does the Tilt fit in, and is it worth your money? Well, in my opinion, absolutely. I love both sides of this pedal. I love them both together as well, so it's a no-brainer for me, but there are a bunch of others. And so what I think you should do, if you've got this kind of money and if you're thinking about something similar, is test out the other options that you've got. Now, when it comes to dual overdrive pedals, perhaps the most famous of those would be the Analog Man King of Tone. Everyone's heard of that one. Get on the waiting list or find one at hugely over-inflated used prices if that's your thing. But there are other options too when it comes to dual overdrive boost pedals. You've got stuff like the Keeley D&M drive, you've got the Cornerstone Gladio, you've got stuff like the Wampler Pantheon Deluxe, you've got the JHS Double Barrel. There's many more that I'm forgetting to name off the cuff right now. But there's thousands of overdrive pedals out there. What you could even do is pair a more affordable boost with an overdrive pedal. And what I might actually do in future is try and do a video where I shoot the Tilt out against two of my other preferred options. Maybe I'll use the Greer Lightspeed and my MXR Micro Amp, for example. Those are two pedals that I use a lot in my own time. Let's see how they compare perhaps against the Tilt. Do you want to see me do that video? Let me know in the comments down there if you do. But this has been the Revv Tilt then, and I have to say again, another hearty congratulations to Shawn Tubbs, to Derek and Dan and everybody else at the Revv team, because I think that the Tilt is a fantastic pedal and it's going straight on my board. And I've got so many overdrive pedals that if an overdrive pedal is going straight on my board, you know that it's really, really good. In terms of sounds, in terms of build quality, the Tilt is fantastic and I can basically not fault it at all. But you know what to do. If you're interested, go down to your local music dealer, try one out for yourself and see if it works for you. And if you have any more questions or anything else you want to know about the Revv Tilt, feel free to drop me a comment or a question down there and I shall answer everything to the very best of my ability. Now, if you're still here, it would make my day if you would like the video or maybe even subscribe to the Rich Words Music channel, because that really helps me and it helps us build the little community that we're starting to build here. If you'd like to watch another of my videos, there's a couple of really cool suggestions being offered here and here, or if you wanted to sub to me, click on my little face up in the corner. But this has been the Revv Tilt and I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.